The journey to becoming a highly effective individual begins not with the environment around us but within. Stephen Covey, in The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, challenges the conventional wisdom that external circumstances are the root of success. He proposes a shift in our mindset, a paradigm shift where true effectiveness begins with character, principles, and the way we respond to life's challenges. It is this internal foundation that influences how we handle both personal and professional situations. Covey's approach requires us to take responsibility for our actions, our choices, and ultimately our destiny. To begin this journey, we must first learn to adopt a proactive mindset. Being proactive means taking initiative and recognizing that we have control over our responses, regardless of what happens around us. It's easy to fall into the trap of blaming external factors, people, events, or circumstances when things don't go as planned. However, true empowerment comes from the realization that we are not victims of our environment. We are creators of our own fate. Covey highlights that proactive people focus on what they can control, their thoughts, emotions, and actions. This shift from a reactive mindset to a proactive one is the cornerstone of personal effectiveness. Once we embrace this proactive mindset, we turn our focus inward to define our purpose and values. Covey's second habit, begin with the end in mind, compels us to envision our ideal life. What do we want to achieve? Who do we want to become? This habit stresses the importance of setting clear personal and professional goals that align with our values and vision. It calls for creating a personal mission statement, a guiding framework that will direct all of our actions and decisions. This clarity of purpose ensures that we are not wandering aimlessly but are instead making intentional choices that contribute to our long-term goals. Through this process, we begin to design a life that reflects our true desires, not the expectations imposed by others. Having established our values and purpose, the third habit, put first things first, helps us organize our daily actions. Time management is not just about getting more things done, but about making sure we focus on what truly matters. Covey emphasizes the importance of prioritization, teaching us to say no to distractions that pull us away from our most important goals. Effective individuals know that not everything is urgent, but everything is important. The key is to focus on activities that align with our highest priorities, leaving little room for distractions and low-value tasks. By managing time and energy in this way, we can maintain consistent progress toward our vision and make choices that are consistent with our core values. As we master these internal habits, proactivity, vision, and prioritization, our effectiveness begins to impact those around us. Covey introduces the idea that personal success is not enough, we must learn to work well with others. The next 3 habits are centered on achieving public victory, focusing on collaboration, communication, and building lasting relationships. Thinking win-win is the first principle of this outward journey. It is a mindset that views all human interactions as opportunities for mutual benefit. Covey asserts that a win-win mindset isn't about compromise or self-sacrifice, rather, it's about finding solutions that respect and meet the needs of all parties involved. When we approach relationships with a win-win attitude, we build trust and cooperation, making it easier to achieve shared goals. This habit transforms competition into collaboration, recognizing that success is not a zero-sum game but rather a partnership between individuals. The 5th habit, seek first to understand, then to be understood, focuses on empathetic communication. In today's world, listening has become a lost art, but Covey emphasizes that true communication starts with understanding. This habit encourages us to listen deeply and attentively to others, with the intention of genuinely understanding their perspective. Only then can we communicate our own thoughts and feelings effectively. This form of listening builds trust and respect in relationships, as others feel valued and heard. Effective communication isn't about persuading others, it's about building a dialogue rooted in mutual understanding. Synergy, the sixth habit, is the natural extension of empathetic communication. Covey explains that when individuals with different perspectives and strengths collaborate, the result is often greater than what each person could accomplish alone. Synergy celebrates the idea that two or more people working together can produce extraordinary results. It's not about consensus but about embracing diversity and finding innovative solutions through collaboration. The synergy created in teams, partnerships, and relationships fosters creativity, problem-solving, and growth, demonstrating that the whole is indeed greater than the sum of its parts. Finally, the seventh habit, sharpen the saw, calls for continuous renewal. The pace of modern life often leaves little room for self-care, but Covey emphasizes that personal growth is an ongoing process. Just as a saw becomes dull with use, we too can become ineffective if we neglect our physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual well-being. This habit encourages us to regularly invest in our health, knowledge, and emotional resilience. It reminds us that effectiveness comes from balance and renewal, and that success is not a destination but a lifelong journey. Taking the time to sharpen the saw ensures that we remain capable, energized, and effective in all areas of life. When we integrate these 7 habits into our daily lives, we don't just change our actions, we transform our character. The habits work together to build a strong foundation of personal integrity, purpose, and communication. Covey's framework provides a holistic approach to living an effective life, one that is grounded in principles of fairness, integrity, honesty, and human dignity. By applying these habits, we align our actions with our values, create meaningful relationships, and achieve success that is both personal and professional. As we continue through this journey of transformation, we find that the power of the 7 habits lies not just in their individual application but in how they work together to shape a life that is both successful and meaningful. At the heart of Covey's approach is the idea that effectiveness is not about doing more things, it's about doing the right things with intention, focus, and a deep commitment to personal values. Proactivity, the first habit, isn't merely a reaction to external events but a conscious decision to take charge of our lives. It is the foundation upon which all the other habits are built. By taking ownership of our thoughts and actions, we create a sense of control over our circumstances. Proactivity fosters resilience, helping us navigate the inevitable challenges of life with grace and composure. It teaches us that our reactions to external events are a choice, and this choice is where our true power lies. We are not defined by what happens to us but by how we respond to it. With the foundation of proactivity in place, we are then able to begin shaping our futures with a clear sense of purpose. Begin with the end in mind takes us a step further by urging us to define our life's mission and vision. This habit calls us to see beyond the present moment and imagine the legacy we wish to leave behind. It challenges us to think about what truly matters, helping us to set meaningful goals that align with our deepest values. By creating a personal mission statement, we provide ourselves with a compass that directs our decisions, actions, and interactions. Every choice, big or small, is then guided by this inner sense of purpose, helping us navigate life with clarity and confidence. The next step in this process is to prioritize what is truly important. Put first things first serves as a reminder that time and energy are precious resources. We live in a world full of distractions, and it is easy to get caught up in urgent but less important tasks. Covey encourages us to organize our lives around our highest priorities, making space for the things that align with our values and long-term vision. This habit is about discipline and focus, ensuring that we spend our time on activities that bring us closer to our goals rather than scattering our attention on things that don't truly matter. When we align our actions with our priorities, we create momentum and make steady progress toward the life we want to build. As we develop the inner habits of proactivity, vision, and prioritization, we begin to see how our actions impact others. The next 3 habits, focused on public victory, help us build stronger, more effective relationships. Covey's 4th habit, think win-win, shifts our perspective from a scarcity mindset to an abundance mindset. Instead of viewing the world as a place where one person's gain is another's loss, Covey encourages us to approach interactions with a belief in mutual benefit. When we adopt a win-win mindset, we create collaborative, positive environments where everyone's needs are met and everyone benefits. This mindset isn't just about negotiation, it's about fostering a sense of trust and respect in all relationships, from the workplace to the home. The 5th habit, seek first to understand, then to be understood, takes communication to the next level. It reminds us that effective communication begins with listening. Too often, we are focused on getting our point across that we fail to truly understand others. Covey teaches us that empathy, actively listening with the intent to understand, is the cornerstone of strong relationships. By practicing deep listening, we validate the experiences and emotions of others, creating an environment of trust and respect. Once we understand others, we can communicate our own perspectives in a way that is clear and compassionate. This habit enhances both personal and professional relationships, fostering cooperation and understanding. The 6th habit, synergize, builds upon this idea of collaboration. Covey argues that when people with different perspectives, strengths, and talents come together, they can create results far greater than what they could achieve individually. Synergy is about embracing diversity, fostering creativity, and finding innovative solutions through teamwork. It's not about finding a middle ground but about combining different viewpoints to create something entirely new and better. In a synergistic environment, the sum is truly greater than the parts, and the result is often more powerful and effective than anything that could have been achieved in isolation. As we move through the process of personal and public victory, we come to the final habit, sharpen the saw. This habit reminds us that, just as a saw needs to be regularly sharpened to remain effective, we too must engage in ongoing self-care and renewal. Life's demands can easily lead to burnout and fatigue, but Covey teaches us that true effectiveness comes from maintaining balance in all aspects of life. The process of self-renewal includes nurturing our physical health through exercise and proper nutrition, cultivating emotional resilience through positive relationships and self-reflection, expanding our mental capacity through learning and intellectual growth, and nourishing our spiritual well-being through meditation, prayer, or other meaningful practices. By taking time to sharpen the saw, we ensure that we remain focused, energized, and capable of maintaining high levels of performance over the long term. Finally, the integration of all 7 habits is what enables us to live an effective life, one that is driven by purpose, guided by values, and fueled by strong relationships. Covey's framework teaches us that effectiveness is not a one-time achievement but a lifelong journey. It requires consistent effort and the willingness to adapt and grow. As we apply these habits in our daily lives, we begin to see their transformative power. We gain greater clarity in our decision-making, stronger connections with others, and a deeper sense of fulfillment as we live in alignment with our highest principles. The 7 habits don't just help us achieve success, they help us become the kind of people we truly want to be. The first habit, being proactive, sets the stage for this broader impact. By choosing to respond thoughtfully rather than react impulsively, we create a ripple effect in our interactions with others. We become role models of accountability and responsibility, showing others that they too have the power to shape their circumstances. Proactive behavior breeds confidence and sets a tone of leadership, inspiring those around us to take charge of their own actions. This habit transforms us from passive participants in life into active creators of our destiny. Once we've embraced a proactive mindset, we can begin to shape our future by beginning with the end in mind. The clarity of purpose that this habit fosters has a far-reaching impact. When we know where we want to go, we are better equipped to make decisions that align with our values and long-term goals. We stop reacting to external pressures and start choosing the direction of our lives. This habit encourages us to take the time to think about what really matters in life, what legacy we want to leave behind, and to make choices that reflect those priorities. As we make decisions in alignment with our values, we inspire others to do the same. The power of a clear vision extends beyond the individual, creating a sense of direction and purpose that can unite teams and communities. Put first things first, then builds upon this foundation by reinforcing the need to prioritize. Once we have defined our vision, the next step is to dedicate our time and energy to what is most important. The world is full of distractions, and it's easy to fall into the trap of reacting to urgent but less important tasks. Covey teaches us that time management is not about squeezing more tasks into our day but about making conscious choices about where to focus our energy. This habit encourages us to ask, what is the best use of my time right now? The answer to this question may be different from what others expect or what seems most urgent, but it will always be in alignment with our deeper purpose. By living this habit, we create a life that is not only more productive but also more fulfilling. As we are spending our time on things that matter most. As we begin to shift our focus outward and interact more with others, the principles of public victory become crucial. Think Win-Win teaches us to move beyond the mindset of scarcity, which views life as a competition where one person's success means another's failure. Instead, we adopt an abundance mindset, believing that there is enough success to go around for everyone. In a win-win scenario, all parties work together for mutual benefit. This habit calls for collaboration over competition, cooperation over conflict, and a deep belief in the possibility of shared success. When we approach relationships with a win-win attitude, we build trust and create a foundation for long-term, mutually beneficial partnerships. The fifth habit, seek first to understand, then to be understood, is essential in deepening our connections with others. Covey emphasizes that listening is the key to effective communication, and it is through empathetic listening that we build trust and respect. When we listen deeply, without judgment or interruption, we gain insight into others' perspectives, needs, and emotions. This understanding allows us to respond in a way that is more thoughtful and compassionate, creating stronger and more supportive relationships. Empathetic listening is not about agreeing with others but about validating their feelings and showing that we value their point of view. This habit can transform our interactions, making them more meaningful and productive. With a deeper understanding of those around us, we can begin to create synergy. The sixth habit. Synergy is the magic that happens when people from different backgrounds, with different strengths, come together to collaborate. Covey explains that when individuals with diverse perspectives and skills come together, the outcome can be greater than the sum of the parts. This is not about compromising but about finding creative solutions that draw on the strengths of everyone involved. Synergy requires a willingness to embrace differences and a commitment to working together to create something greater than what any individual could achieve alone. In both personal and professional settings, synergy fosters innovation and problem-solving, enabling teams to accomplish remarkable feats. Finally, sharpen the saw. The seventh habit serves as the foundation for sustaining the growth and effectiveness we've cultivated through the previous habits. Just as a woodcutter must stop to sharpen their saw to keep working efficiently, we too must pause regularly to renew ourselves. Covey highlights that neglecting our physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual well-being is not an option for those who want to maintain long-term effectiveness. The process of sharpening the saw ensures that we are always operating at our best. It allows us to remain resilient in the face of challenges, open to learning, and connected to our purpose. This habit is not just about self-care, it's about creating a sustainable, fulfilling way of life that supports continuous growth and improvement. Incorporating all 7 habits into our daily lives doesn't happen overnight, and it requires ongoing effort and commitment. However, the rewards are immeasurable. By embracing the principles Covey outlines, we shift from a reactive, disconnected way of living to one that is proactive, intentional, and deeply connected to our values and purpose. We build stronger relationships, achieve greater success, and create a life that is both fulfilling and impactful. When we look back at the journey through the 7 habits, it's clear that the key to becoming a highly effective person is not about checking off a list of actions but about embodying a mindset and a set of principles that guide our every thought, decision, and action. The power of the 7 habits lies in their ability to transform not just what we do but who we are. Through consistent application, we become better versions of ourselves, more focused, more resilient, and more capable of creating positive change in our own lives and the lives of others. As we reach the end of this summary, it is important to remember that the 7 habits are not just principles for success, they are principles for living a life that is meaningful, purposeful, and true to who we are. By adopting these habits, we don't just become more effective, we become more fully alive, aligned with our deepest values, and capable of making a lasting impact in the world around us. At the core of this journey is the recognition that our choices are what define us. In a world that is often characterized by chaos, unpredictability, and external pressures, it is easy to fall into the trap of reacting automatically, without thought or intention. Proactivity, the first habit, encourages us to rise above this. It empowers us to recognize that, despite external circumstances, we always have the ability to choose our response. This understanding shifts us from a passive existence, where we are at the mercy of events and emotions, to an active one, where we consciously shape our experience. Once we've embraced proactivity, we are better prepared to design our lives with intention. The second habit, begin with the end in mind, serves as a guiding force that ensures we are not simply reacting to life as it comes but are actively creating the future we desire. With a clear sense of purpose, we are less likely to be swayed by short-term distractions or the expectations of others. Instead, we align our actions with our deeper values and long-term goals. This habit doesn't just apply to grand aspirations, it can be applied to every area of life, from how we approach daily tasks to how we structure our relationships and career paths. A life with a clear vision is one that has direction, meaning, and purpose, yet, even with a strong vision in place, the temptation to become distracted by the urgent, rather than the important, is ever present. This is where the third habit, put first things first, becomes essential. The world constantly bombards us with demands for our attention, and it can be all too easy to prioritize immediate tasks that provide short-term satisfaction, often at the expense of our long-term goals. Covey's principle of prioritization urges us to make conscious decisions about how we allocate our time. It's about saying no to distractions and focusing on what truly matters, those activities that bring us closer to our vision and are aligned with our core values. This habit helps us reclaim control of our time and energy, allowing us to direct them where they will have the most meaningful impact. The next set of habits takes us beyond individual effectiveness and into the realm of relationships and collaboration. Think Win-Win calls us to shift from a mindset of competition and scarcity to one of cooperation and abundance. In a win-win environment, we stop seeing others as obstacles to our success and instead see them as partners in the pursuit of shared goals. This shift requires a deep commitment to fairness, integrity, and mutual benefit. Covey teaches that win-win solutions don't just serve us, they serve others as well, fostering trust and building relationships based on respect and shared values. In every negotiation, decision, or partnership, seeking a win-win outcome creates a positive, collaborative atmosphere where everyone involved benefits. The fifth habit, seek first to understand, then to be understood, is closely tied to this principle of collaboration. Effective communication is a cornerstone of any successful relationship, and Covey stresses that the key to great communication is listening. However, this isn't just any kind of listening, it's listening with the intent to understand. Often, we listen only with the intent to respond, waiting for our turn to speak or to get our point across. This habit challenges us to listen actively and empathetically, setting aside our own agendas and truly hearing what the other person is saying. By seeking first to understand, we create a foundation of trust, which in turn makes it easier for us to communicate our own ideas in a way that is clear and compassionate. Once we've built a foundation of trust through understanding, the next step is to create synergy. Habit 6. Covey emphasizes that when people with diverse perspectives and strengths come together, the result can be far greater than what could be achieved alone. Synergy is the magic that happens when individuals collaborate, not merely compromise, but create new, better solutions that reflect the combined creativity and strengths of everyone involved. In a synergistic environment, differences are not seen as obstacles, they are embraced as opportunities for growth and innovation. This habit fosters creativity, problem-solving, and a sense of shared purpose, resulting in outcomes that exceed individual capabilities. Finally, the 7th habit, sharpen the saw, brings us back to the importance of self-care and renewal. While the previous habits help us build a life of personal and public victory, this habit reminds us that we must maintain our physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual well-being if we are to sustain this journey of growth and effectiveness. Covey argues that without regular self-renewal, we will eventually burn out, and our effectiveness will diminish. Sharpening the saw means taking time to rest, reflect, and engage in activities that recharge and restore us. This could involve physical exercise, creative pursuits, deepening relationships, or spiritual practices. Whatever the activity, it is crucial that we take time to renew ourselves regularly so that we can continue moving forward with energy, focus, and vitality. When we look at the 7 habits together, we see that they form a cohesive, holistic system for living an effective life. Each habit reinforces the others, and the habits work in tandem to create a life that is not only productive but also balanced, purposeful, and fulfilling. Effectiveness is not just about achieving external success, it's about cultivating a deep sense of inner alignment with our values, fostering meaningful relationships, and continuously growing in all areas of life. Covey's framework provides us with the tools we need to navigate life's complexities, make conscious choices, and create a life that reflects our highest aspirations. As we conclude our journey through the 7 habits of highly effective people, we are left with a powerful insight that the path to effectiveness is a continuous process of growth and refinement. It is not a destination but a journey, one that requires ongoing effort, commitment, and the willingness to adapt. The habits outlined in Covey's book are not just strategies for success, they are principles for living a life of integrity, purpose, and impact. By embracing these habits and making them a part of our daily lives, we have the power to create the life we desire, one that is full of meaning, achievement, and lasting fulfillment.